Okay, good morning. I'm Andy Lee Graham, and I'm in Cañas Gordas, Colombia, which means kind of fat bamboo. Okay, really beautiful little town. Okay, I want today to talk about three types of learning. Okay, or three levels of learning. I guess it would be something I've been dwelling on and thinking about for years, and I often just call it the third option. Okay, and that isn't there is, as far as I have yet to be able to find a way of explaining this type of category of learning in a word that is not sort of negative. The 14th step says I should not say or do anything that would make a person feel weak. Okay, but I I have written over 10,000 times, maybe about, in reality, when you write 2,000 blog posts, 10,000 blog posts, you've probably written a couple hundred, maybe 20 some books, okay? And then I've made over 5,000 videos. And the reason why I do this, and I was just told the reason by my friend Jeff the other day, which yesterday I was calling him up and asking him a question. He's a doctor. He's one of my best friends. I was actually the guy that officiated his wedding. Okay, but that's like I was the minister that did his wedding. But I really wasn't a minister, right? It was in Austin, Texas. Okay, but what happened was I asked him, Jeff, do you think a person can have a pause in thinking? Okay, and because I said I have made enough videos that I know that there's people that are actively involved. I got a phrase. They you got people that are listening, and then you got the people that are thinking. You got mostly you got to qualify this. You got some people just are thinking of what I'm saying. Some are listening, and the people that are thinking are making a decision. Yes, I agree, or no, I don't agree. So the thinking people say to themselves, yes, I agree, no, I don't agree. And then the listening people are thinking, but the problem is they're not really making a decision. They're just going, it's one of those delayed. They have to mull it over for a few days. And then there's another category, and I call this like option number three. Option number three is they're not really listening, they're not really thinking. What they're doing is being entertained. And I was trying to ask Jeff, do you think people just pause their brain? But he was talking about as a doctor, they're taught to see one, do one, teach one. And that's why I like to make videos, because I see something, I do it, and then I try to teach it by writing about it or by talking about it, whatever. So, in a way, to be a philosopher, I believe you have to have four different aspects. You have to experience life, you have to read and study life, you have to talk to your new friends. People, 25% of it should be talking with just like new friends that you have that are uncontrollable. And then you should be talking with respected philosophers, people that have a desire to be to find the truth. Okay, and this is really tough in these worlds, in this today's society, to find people that are willing to really search for the truth. But there are people, and it doesn't have to be one of these things. But all this comes down to, in a way, I keep reading Ralph Waldo Emerson, and he's got an essay called Self-Reliance. And he's got some very good quotes, but he's got one that really annoys me, okay? To be a man, and his quote is Ralph Waldo Emerson. He was like a mentor to Henry David Thoreau, but I have no clue. He was like a guy that didn't do it. He see one, but he didn't do it, right? But he wanted to teach one, but he forgot the part to me about doing one. He didn't do it. So you can see it, then you can do it, and then you can teach it. So the experience is when you do it. So do one. Very good instruction on how to teach. Okay, there is, to be a man, you must be a nonconformist. I think this is crazy because he misses the third option that the person just doesn't care either way. Okay, see, there's a world where we feel like we have to conform. There's a world where we don't have to conform, and then the people that just don't even pay attention to this. Okay, and it doesn't register in their brain and whatever. And I have been teaching things for years, not really teaching. I've been trying to kind of entertain, but what I'm calling this though is maybe thinking, listening, and entertainment. There's the three levels of thinking. You have the people thinking, you have the people listening, and the people that are entertaining. So one example I gave to him is a person that is listening to Metallica at the maximum value. Is there actually thinking or listening going on in their brain? Are they thinking yes or no? I don't think so. They're just accepting it, right? Are they listening? Of course, they're listening, but are they also thinking? Okay, are they processing anything? No, they're just being entertained. So you have people that are, and this is part of learning. And one of the things that you will, if you watch a lot of speakers, they'll always tell a story. So I'm going to tell a story about Eurotrash. Okay, when I first started traveling, I'm not proud of myself for using the term Eurotrash or trailer trash or anything like that. Actually, everything is becoming a protected class. I don't know who I can describe in a non-woke way, right? I'm going to describe everybody, and in the way that I feel, and if I not going to say what I think, then I'm going to not talk, okay? Because I'm not going to ever pretend to talk in words that I don't mean. But when I first started traveling, there was a lot of, I was hanging around a lot more. I was only about 42, right? And 1998 or something like that. And when I was 42, there was a lot of Europeans that I thought I should respect, okay? Because before I started traveling, I had a lot of respect for Europeans, a lot of respect for Germans, and I didn't have any countries that I didn't really like, okay? And next thing I know, I'm set up by these things. But the Europeans, the Europeans were always in attack mode on me when I said I was from the United States, and I go, what? I just said I was from the United States. I didn't request an attack. I didn't, do anything to deserve an attack. So what I was going to do is I was going to write a book called How to Trash the Eurotrash. But on the other thing, I was going to have this book that flipped over. So you have a book, say, on one side it would say How to Trash the Eurotrash, and then on the other side it would say, but you'd flip it over. So you'd flip it over like that, and you'd read it a different way. So you could read it in two different ways. So you could read it from this way, or you could read it from this way. And I wanted to say how to make friends with the Europeans, okay? And when you got tired of trying to make friends, and you just realized how to stop them from mocking, intimidating, and calling you names, okay? And I always remember when I was in Quito, Ecuador, and I told this Norwegian girl, I said, I don't know anything negative about Norway. And she goes, oh, we kill whales. And I go, oh, no, now I know something. The Germans are real easy. The Germans, to stop a German is really easy when they're mocking or saying you have no culture or something. I love it when a German says I have no culture. Why? United States was right now, it's diminishing, but when it first started, about 60-40% German. Okay, and it's decreasing. And where I live in Indiana, it's a real high percentage of Germans. Most of them changed their name after World War II and World War III, World War I, World War II, because they were ashamed, right? So a lot of them went into hiding. They came out a little bit of hiding, but they should have went into hiding. World War II, they killed 55 million people. This is a despicable culture, but people should be forgiven. But not that easy. Okay, but how to trash the Eurotrash is a comeback. Friedrich Nietzsche was just making some quotes. The only way to stop an enemy is to be an enemy. Okay, and really, sometimes there are people that the only way to stop them is to come up with the pithy phrase that can stop them. But what the Eurotrash we're always saying no is, Americans, I mean, it took me a long time to internalize this and understand it, but they would call us boring. I said, you guys are boring. Okay. They also called us the land of rules, which is 100% true. But you gotta, if you really go back through time, what you realize is that most of Europe had king and queens and different things, and there's a strong level where they were sort of like slaves. Okay, they were thieves and whatever. Especially in England. England is a what England. It took me a long time to realize that the English, I call the English or the British, the United Kingdom, whatever you want to call these guys, my mean older brother. Okay, because they are my brother, but they're my mean older brother. And if I don't watch it, they're going to do a thing called taking the piss. You got to always be careful with the British because they will try to wind you up by lying to you. Taking a piss is a form of lying where they pretend like they're being serious, but they're not really being serious. And I try to practice it once in a while when I'm around British. I said, "Is that taking a piss? Is that taking a piss?" It's not pissing, and but they call getting drunk getting pissed too. They're the kings of alcohol. Okay, but the Europeans pride themselves in being a really, in my opinion, they think that for the most part, they actually have internalized this idea that they are a higher mentality, higher species than Americans. Okay, and so do the Canadians, which is all this is really asinine because if anything we are mostly in the United States is European. Okay, and British, but they all want to act like we're different, and this is kind of the idea that when you're thinking, when the first level of thinking, when somebody's listing something, you're thinking about this right now, and you're saying to yourself, yes, I agree, or no, I don't agree, and that really isn't necessary, okay, because there's nothing to make a decision about. But naturally, when we're learning, we think that is this something I agree with, something I disagree, and if you agree with it, you're liable to emulate it, copy it, or go do it. Now, don't get me wrong. Only about 1 in 50 people that actually has sort of a epiphany or a paradigm shift actually changes their life. I could talk all day about how to meet people, and it just goes in one ear and out the other. And right there is kind of the thing: in one ear and out the other. I want to talk about the third option today. Okay, but the British, the Europeans will call it "you're boring," and that means I just turned off my brain to what you're saying, and I often see that enacted. In the United States, we have the East Coast and the West Coast, and Hillary Clinton called it. What'd she call it? She had the word. What is these? The East Coast and the West Coast can mock anybody from the Midwest. What did she call it? The despicables. Okay, let's see if I can find it. Well-mannered. I should have just left the notes here instead of writing it here. But we have the British mocking the East Coast. They are the anointed. I really like Thomas Sowell. He talks on Hoover Institute. He calls these East Coast West people the anointed. They think that we should listen to them. And this is kind of the same idea as the British, the Western European. The Eastern European are a little bit different. They're more like North Central America and South America, that they just want to go to the United States. Okay, everybody wants to go to the United States no matter what. Okay, but if they can't go to it, then they want to mock it. So there's kind of a I don't know, a Freudian penis envy thing, right? It's like, I'm going to be angry at you because I'm envious of you. It's a real interesting world we live in. And the more geopolitical understanding of the spiritual, mental, emotional status of these different cultures, the more you can understand where they're coming from. I'll never forget when Obama was shaking hands with President Bush, and he grabbed his arm and he grabbed it full, and somebody said he was controlling George Bush, and I said, no, that's how an African shakes. It's the greatest form of respect. I said, because you bend over and you shake their hand. I was laughing because so many things are misinterpreted on different levels, but I don't believe Obama had any clue that he was giving the ultimate respect to President Bush. He just was doing what he had learned and internalized subconsciously because he was sort of African, right? His father, I was over in Siaya, Kenya, and I always laugh, and they were arguing. The Muslims and the Christians were fighting over Mother Sarah, to trying to take her to Dubai and get her to be a Muslim. And it was hilarious. This is like his grandmother or something like that. And his father was kind of funny because they were real embarrassed about Obama's father because he was kind of like the town drunk. And what happened is, and Obama wrote a book about this guy, right? It's kind of humorous because he was the town drunk, and they didn't want to talk about him because he was embarrassing. But what he did, I think his mother, Obama's mother, went over there as a girl, and as what is the best way to get to the United States? You get a girl pregnant, okay, and that's what happened in my interpretation of life. Okay, but boring. There's different levels of learning. So I think any teacher would know this, that there are students that it's going in one ear and out the other. They could talk all day and nothing is landing. And this is a category which is truly, I kind of believe that it's almost 85% of people. Okay, 85%, everything they're watching is just entertainment. So you got thinking people, listening people, and entertainers. Entertainment, people that are being entertainees, right? They're the receiver of entertainment, but there isn't anything registering in the brain. That's why I called up my friend the doctor. He said, well, there definitely is brain activity, but I'm saying we got to study this in a sense to see if it's actually becoming a memory, okay? Because that's what the goal of learning is that it becomes a memory. But I make so many videos, and I've written so many times that I am sure I can talk to different people, and they have watched, and they even referenced the title to a video. I've actually told people they would make comments different times, and I'd say, go read it again, because they didn't read it. They just read the title in the first paragraph, and then they said they knew it. It's like most people that buy books. They buy a book, they read. They buy a book to say they read the book, and they put it on their shelf, and it appears good. You ever notice how when you're watching a lot of videos, they have books in the background? Like, I'm going to stop doing any kind of shit. I like to put a background where there's something for people to look at because I know they're bored. And I want them to be bored. Why? Because, you got to let a person be who they are, right? They can't concentrate. Let them be bored. I don't care. I don't care if they learn or listen or whatever. That's not my goal of making these videos. My goal is to see it, do it, teach it. Because when I teach it, I learn it. Okay. I told my sister the other day to write a book on her chemo. I said, write a book on how to recover from chemo. And she didn't. She's too emotionally wound up. So I guess I'm writing the book. But what did the Despicables? I got to come up with this Hillary Clinton, right? She said something. She should have been in my opinion, when she called, I better look this up. Okay, the East Coast and West Coast thinks the flyover states are the basket of despicables. And to me, that was the opposite of a global citizen. A global citizen is somebody that talks to anybody and everybody has value. Doesn't matter what thing. Everybody has a story, okay? Malcolm Gladwell talks about it. If you listen long enough to anybody, you can find a good story. If you're willing to be patient and intimate, whatever. But the Colorado, East Coast, West Coast, they consider us the basket of deplorables. And there's a reason why. Why is because we are dealing with option number 3. Okay, and this is the person where we're talking, and we're talking, or they're talking, or somebody's talking, and we're proposing something, and we got some people thinking, and then we got another group of people that are listening, and they're not really processing. They're in the process of thinking about it, but they're just processing it. And then you have the people that are just showed up, okay? The entertainment, okay? Because they want entertained, and not the whole goal is to be entertained, to take some time. They go from temptation to temptation. They're kind of debaucherous in a way. They just want to feel something, and they want to feel good. So if you make them feel good, so a lot of times you see people like, I'm always laughing because I've been spending a lot of time watching these things. I'm going to repeat this over and over, but it's been really humorous. I've been doing a deep dive on Friedrich Nietzsche and Schopenhauer and all these different guys. I can't say their names, right? And what it sure is, you hear this really fatherly, deep voice. Whether I shall be a man or blah, you know, they all talk with this fatherly thing. And what it is to me quite simple. There are people that have obeyed their father, that have always wanted to obey their father, and they need a father figure making these quotes. And it's kind of funny because only if you're talking like my father can you be a smart person. I'm always trying to tease Jordan Peterson. I said, Jordan, do you ever just crack a smile? Do you ever just, glee, have glee? I like the word glee. Do you ever just beam with, charisma and personality? Do you really turn it on sometimes? Or do you always talk like my father? But my father didn't talk that way. He talked to me. He didn't talk at me. Sometimes he'd talk at me. I always laughing. I got the worst citizenship grade I ever got. I got a really bad citizenship grade for asking too many questions from Mrs. Grable. Mrs. Grable changed my life because she got me to give my father gave me a paddling with a ping pong paddle out in the garage. And I go, for what? For asking too many questions, for being too inquisitive, for having a philosophy of curiosity. And what she told me was never listen to a teacher, never take a teacher serious. And I don't think anybody should be taking a teacher seriously. I think a teacher shouldn't take themselves serious. I think they should try to tell a story in a way that the students learn and want to learn. So I didn't listen never to the teachers. I just sit in the back and read these SRA things, and I read these books. I would read like 1 or 2 books a week when I was in high school. I was a Trekkie, right? I read. Thank you for Richard Gowdy. He had all these books. Tina Green, my gosh, they had a lot of books. I didn't have to buy them all. But the basket of deplorables. So you got these teachers, and they're correct. And you've talked to people that we would say are, in common layman terms, are brain dead. That's not a nice term. And it's not going to encourage anybody, okay? And calling somebody brain dead is not going to get them to learn, okay? I finally have accepted 100% that if somebody is not learning, just walk away. Try to find a different way to tell a different story. I just watched the movie Lincoln by Steven Spielberg production, and he's always telling a story. And that's a really brilliant way to do it. But Ralph Waldo Emerson said, to be a man, you have to be a nonconformist. And I say, wait a minute, I opt for option 3. It didn't even cross my mind that I was supposed to be a conformist, right? Or a nonconformist. I have never in my life felt social pressure to conform. Sometimes I do feel I guess when I was in high school, I felt social pressure to not talk, not open my mouth, not express my beliefs, not say anything. I've always been that way. But most people say, Andy, be quiet. My mom's signal, go upstairs, stop talking. But it wasn't to conform, it was to leave them alone, okay? And that is truly, when somebody wants entertainment, they either want to be entertained or they want to be left alone. But there's a lot of people, like I watch this Robert Greene a lot, and he's written some really good books like the 48 Rules of Power. And I go, he wants to talk about charisma, and he's not a real handsome guy, right? And then he's got this book on seduction. And I go, I don't know, guy, you're not really the type of guy that I would, I don't really relate. But because he's written books, people think he should watch their videos, so he gets a lot of shows. And this is one way to get a lot of shows, okay? But the part of learning, so you got thinking, listening, and entertainment. So What do we do with these people that just are in entertainment mode? If you're not entertaining them, it just goes in one ear and out the other. And it's really 85% of people. Let me see. I had the percentages down here. Okay, yeah. Thinking, actually thinking, yes for me and not for me. They actually make a choice. Whether you're listening right now, there's 2%, 1 in 50 that says this makes sense, or no, it doesn't. Then you got number 2, which I can think about 8%. Okay, they are listening, cannot process, but it's spinning in their brain. So it's ruminating, they're chewing on it, they're thinking, they're trying to process it, and someone will just get tired and go do something else and never think about it. So maybe I get another 2%, so you get about 1 in 25 that actually hits home. That doesn't mean they're going to go do it. They see it, but they're not going to go do it, okay? And then you got the entertainment, stop thinking. They just goes in when it doesn't register, it doesn't become anything, it's just entertainment. Then you got the 5% entertainment that they feel that they wasted their time, and I wasted their time, even though you've had, right now you would have had 7 minutes and 29 seconds to go do something else, okay? And in that 7:29 seconds, because I somehow took up your time. You gotta understand, you're not very smart. I didn't take up your time. You took up your own time, and I did not do anything. You just continue to watch to a point where you think. A lot of people are watching my videos only because they think they're going to learn how to travel. And most of what I do is a fantasy. It's an illusion, a delusion. Only one, I've told this guy, Mark, many, many times, Mark, only 1 in, I don't know, 500. The number of people that will actually go to 100 countries, 1 in, I don't know, 50,000 people. Okay, the number of people that go to 20 countries, 1 in, I don't know, 5,000 people. Okay, and Mark was calling himself a traveler the other day. I said, Mark, you only been to like 5 countries. That's not really classified. You go to Mexico all the time. That's not really a traveler. That is a person that's going. A lot of people think that when they go live abroad that they're a traveler. That's not a traveler. That's a person that lives abroad. Okay, but the 5% become trolls. They want to mock and they want to attack. Why is that? Because they're like naughty little kids, okay? They are just naughty little kids. They're the person in the class that's causing all the havoc and just refuses, and so they disrupt the class. And they can do this at age 20, they can do it at 50, they can do it at 60. I remember when I was 21, I had a business, and this 55-year-old man was throwing a temper tantrum right in my little office area. And I go, wow, I thought people grew up. People never grow up, people. They very seldom grow up, and they shouldn't grow up, but they should learn how to stop ranting and making themselves an annoyance. But when we're learning, so the reason why I highly disagree with Henry David, Ralph Waldo Emerson when he says, see, he said a really quote that I really do like. A foolish consistency is a hobgoblin of little minds. That means that if I tell you that I'm going to the Darien Gap and I don't go, some people get angry. It's like their father betrayed them, right? I get people get really angry because I change my plans. But I would say, wait a minute. Foolish consistency of a foolish consistency is a hobgoblin of little minds. A little mind is pedantic and thinks that everything that comes out of a person's mouth they should do. Okay, and which is amazing. Okay, that they can't allow a person to change their mind. That is macho. That is enforcing macho behavior, saying you said this, you have to go do it. But a lot of them are just trying to pretend to be their fathers, which they never obeyed their fathers. So now they're being their father, and they're saying, Charlie, go do what you said. You go say what you're going to do and do it. Okay, it's kind of humorous. We really are, and Freud had it completely correct. It's just a massive confusion with the Oedipus complex. We are in love with our mother, therefore we act like our father. That's the Oedipus complex. But what I'm saying right now is 1 in 25 is actually thinking, making a decision whether this is yes or no, and trying to mull it over in their head, and they're trying to learn it, and they're trying to think. Now, think about Henry David Thoreau and you think about these people in Harvard. Henry David Thoreau was hanging around with a bunch of Harvard graduates and people like this. And he wasn't, he actually was quite rude to the Irish, okay? And I thought, you want to protect the slaves, but you treat the Irish like peasants, right? And he was doing the anointed thing sometimes. And I go, hey, Henry, really, you are not perfect. But he was with the Harvard group, and I think he really considered the farmers as peasants. So he was taking on this European, British, English idea that we have the intellectual, and then we have the third estate. See, in the French have the king and queen are the first estate, the priest and all these preachers, and that's the second estate, and maybe the nobleman. And the third estate is the common person. So when you say the third world, what you're talking about is a very, very big insult. To call something the third world means it's the third estate. It's part of the French. And when they were having the storming of the Bastille and stuff, what they wanted to be was somebody. I don't want to be a nobody. I want to be a somebody. There's a really good quote from this one guy, which I cannot remember these things, and I don't even try to. Why? Because I'm not ever going to try to be perfect. That is what a lot of videos. But I'm always laughing when I'm reading these guys on Stoics, and they come across as everything's consistent as if they are their perfect father. Okay, and that is sad, because they sound like the father, they got music in the background, and it's 100% entertainment for somebody to finally feel good, but not actually process anything. They're not really thinking, they're not really reading, they're not really listening, they're just entertainment by feeling noble. Okay, that's what a lot of these philosophy things are. They want to feel noble, they want to feel pompous. I mean, they want to be somebody. So if I buy that book, I would be a somebody. It doesn't make it happen, guys. Really, you got to see it and do it. And the problem with, and I always try to get Mark to realize that some people will eventually, they may watch 100, 200, 5,000 videos, but they may turn a dream into reality. Okay. But this classification, so when he says to be a you have to be a nonconformist to be a man, I'm going, hey, what about the third option? The 24 out of 25 that, didn't think about it, didn't cross their mind, never even considered the fact that they was in a battle to be a man, right? Because see, people that are thinking, these professors and these doctorates and these things, they want you to make a decision to listen to it, learn from it. And when a person doesn't do it, they don't blame themselves. They blame, they're not a functional group, right? They think that the students fought. Okay, so without consequences, people don't learn. So they're not going, if you don't get a paper, in the paper chase, the movie The Paper Chase, if you don't get a degree, if you don't get a grade, people, have no desire to learn. But most of them want to obey their father. That's why people act like they always talk like somebody's father. But the intimacy of telling a story and telling a way and talking in a way where somebody can learn. So if one person doesn't like how a person's teaching about Friedrich Nietzsche, watch another person, because they may sound in a way the way you need to learn. Okay, so I really believe that people should be learning. They shouldn't have teachers anymore. They should have videos that they play, and the student should be able to go home and watch that video over 5, 10 times instead of saying, oh, if you're really good at taking notes. I'm always laughing. I never took notes in my whole life. I refuse to take notes in class. I mean, maybe a couple little ones, but not just, I don't make big outlines of it. I will outline the book so I can learn. But if they have a book, anything with a textbook, I can learn with my eyes closed. But, I was a philosophy major, a psychology major, and whatever. I believe that I'm interrupting my brain trying to multitask, taking notes. So if they had a teacher, the best teacher would have this all recorded and say, okay, you can go home and watch my video until you understand it. Because that's the goal, isn't it? not to be proved that I'm good at taking notes. In the movie Paper Chase, they're sharing notes. That's really funny. Okay, but the teacher that teaches in class is to elaborate on what was taught in a textbook. And so you should have the reading material, then you should have the explanation, and then you should have the interaction, the talking. So to me, the best way to teach would be to have a video by one of the best storytelling, elaborate, personal, charismatic teachers on the planet. And then the teacher could sit and talk with the students about some pertinent issues. No, that's not the goal. The goal really in school is to teach them how to behave, because that makes good workers. Okay, so what is the topic I'm talking about today? The philosophy of learning. Okay, and when you're learning, you have to understand what you're doing. If you're not listening and you're not thinking and making a choice whether it fits in your world or doesn't fit in your world, or it's of value, then why are you watching it? And are you watching only people that you feel are reputable? Okay, this is where the absolute insanity is. There are people that believe that everything that President Biden said is stupid. Everything, always, absolutes. Everything that Donald Trump says is stupid thing. There is no such way of being that person. No, there is no person that is all right and all wrong. Okay, and so learning is to extract to listen and think and extract some workable knowledge from it. And it shouldn't be a thing. Now, unfortunately, a politician or a preacher has to repeat things over and over and over again. So it's kind of sad because I'm always laughing when somebody asks me questions about a video and I said, did you watch the video? Because they read the title and they wanted the shortcut, right? They wanted to go straight. Andy, you explain what you said. I know you made a video for 20 minutes about it, but just do it. But if a video is good enough to listen to one time and you really think it's a great video, I will watch it 3-4 times. And I love that ability of YouTube. I thank YouTube and I thank Google for giving a lot of tools like that. And you have changed the world, even though you're an evil empire, but you have made the world a better place, maybe, if you don't try to control us with they're now, all these social networks are trying to control us and formulate, they know how to get us addicted. Now they're teaching us, they're trying to instruct us, and they're trying to elect the president. And that is a macho thing. That's what the anointed do. They think that they can do it. But the philosophy of learning is to understand that when anybody talks, some people are very succinct and they can have a lot of different valuable things in one sentence or a paragraph. Another person may have to say, talk for 30 minutes to say one good point. And so there's a value in doing. I have learned that if I want to learn about the philosophers or any one of these things, I have to first like them. So what I'm trying to do right now is I'll look at, an hour, 2 hours worth of quotes from Friedrich Nietzsche. And I really like this guy, other than he went crazy at the end, which is not a proven success. He has this Ubermash or whatever, where the Uber is the superhuman. And I go, and you went nuts. And that's not the goal. And none of these guys are happy, right? The Stoics, they're always serious. Like, that's not the goal of life. The goal of life is to open your arms and embrace the world, right? And as you get older, you're supposed to get happy. You're not supposed to get depressed. As people get older, they end up telling stories of when they were 25, and I go, that's when I know somebody's going to die. If they're constantly going to tell, say a 60-some-year-old person, 70, 80, is always telling things of what they did when they were 20 and they were actually alive, that's the downward slope. That's when you're headed, because they don't have any future stories. With no future story, you have no future life. Okay, I hope that was helpful. The 3 philosophies of learning is thinking. People are thinking yes or no. They're always thinking yes or no. When they're on a website, any page, on a video, they're always thinking, should I get off this video? Am I wasting my time? That's constantly in their brain, which makes it hard for you to learn. People that are just listening, giving it a fair chance, letting it process, but they're still thinking and they're still trying to make a decision whether they should leave. I'm going to make a video pretty soon about, I said, yes, I can hear you thinking, should I be listening to this person? Should I be talking with the person? The answer is always yes. When you're listening to somebody, talking to somebody, it's part of the 25% of learning from other humans, because other humans teach us through their behaviors how we can behave. Okay, when I want to learn how to behave, I watch and learn from other people. I also have these trusted people that can help me slice and dice. When I called up Jeff yesterday, I trust him, and he's not going to tell me something just to make me feel good. Anybody that ever tells me something just to make me feel good, I stop talking to them. Okay, they're basically they had an angry mom, and every time they talked, their mother screamed. They would try to pacify her. It's an emotional problem. Okay, but that's a true trauma and whatever. Okay, hit that subscribe button. Anybody that would like to hear the truth about the world, I'm always willing to take certain questions, especially mostly from the Patreon. I will reply to emails from Patreons. I don't know, I guess you call them subscribers, supporters, and I will even come visit certain Patreon people at certain levels, and because I'm all around the world, right? I have no problem whatsoever going anywhere. You're going to see that most of the time from now on, I'm going to have a white background, and because I cannot control the sound, and I'm just not going to try to do my best when there is no way to do my best, when all I'm really given is a great background for the people that are just wanting entertained anyway. So the ones that just want entertained really should go do something else, okay? You're not making me a better man by watching my videos. You're not making my world better because you watch my videos. I'm making your world better. I'm not making my world better. I'm making myself better by seeing it, doing it, and teaching it. What a great thing I learned from Jeff the other day. But life is an experiment. Life is an experiment. Live it to your fullest, okay? Be a person that thinks constantly, and if you find yourself just wanting to be entertained, maybe go do something else where you actually can learn and be entertained at the same time. And all of learning should be entertaining, okay? Don't get me wrong. When somebody's not learning and they feel brain dead, that's okay. They should be going and doing something that they're really wanting to learn. And this is where the teaching system fails. I really would rather have everybody become an autodidact, the very technical word for a self-taught person. Okay, I'm here and you're not, why not? I'm in Cañas Gordas, Colombia. I will be going, on the 24th of April to fly to Guatemala, and I'll spend about 10 days, and then I'll fly to Tampa, then live there about 4 days with my one friend, and then I'll fly to Monterey, California, and live in a friend's guest room. And I'm always looking for a guest room with somebody that wants to learn about the world. Golly, I could talk about any country, 114 countries. I have an opinion on it, a geopolitical opinion. Okay, I could talk forever about the Europeans and the Spanish and the French. I mean, you understand that Spain's got like 6 different regions, autonomous, and they don't even like each other. They often have like 20% unemployment in a lot of Europe. We should be grateful to be in the United States. What we shouldn't be grateful for is the fact that we've become a bunch of trolls. And anybody that's a troll, anybody that's canceling you, anybody that's criticizing you, anybody that's trying to hurt your feelings by saying something, erase them. They're a child. And if you can't, don't ever reply back to them. Just encourage them to act like an adult and try to say, but why would you, as an adult, listen to another adult trying to cancel you. I'm always asked, somebody said, Andy, they'll try to cancel you. And I said, why would I care? The only person I keep track of is me. Okay. All I care about is I am the best man that I can be today. And if a person doesn't like my videos, that makes sense. I mean, some people love you, some people don't. And this idea that I should be liked or get likes or whatever, I think is an insane battle to try to be liked by a bunch of people I don't know that I don't like. Man, that's insanity. Okay, enjoy life. Life is good. I'm here and you're not. Why not? And let's become global citizens that are willing and capable of talking with anybody, that are brave, that are not trying to run away from the world. They're trying to understand the world. I'm a global citizen. I'm Andy Lee Graham, 100 plus countries, 25 plus years, living with the world. It's a great thing, guys.